In this video, I'm going to break down 3 reasons why you shouldn't be a software engineer. My name is Aman. In college, I landed 6 high-paying software engineering internships at companies like Amazon, Shopify, and HP. And after I graduated college, I was able to get multiple full-time job offers that paid in the 6 figures. Today, you're going to learn what kind of person should actually go into software engineering, the most common misconceptions people who are interested in coding for a living have, and the harsh reality that most people do not realize. What is it really like to be a software engineer if we strip aside all these crazy salaries, perks, benefits, lifestyle? If we take away all the cool shots of people coding, what is left over? Why are 80% of software engineers not happy? This video will save you years of wasted time and effort. Now, all 3 of these reasons are important, so you need to see the whole picture, so make sure you actually understand all of them. Now, the first reason why you shouldn't be a software engineer is that you simply are not cut out for the software engineering hiring process. The software engineering industry is like a war zone. You're running through this field, bullets raining everywhere, you're watching your friends get blown up. All you're trying to do is to keep on fighting without getting shot in the face. And most people are not cut out for that level of rejection and failure. They simply cannot handle the pressure. Specifically, you probably can't handle the feeling of rejection. Rejection is the name of the game when it comes to getting a job in tech. Most people have to suffer through hundreds of rejections before getting an offer. And after rejection after rejection after rejection, you still have to keep lead coding, you still have to keep applying, you have to keep getting referrals, and you have to keep interviewing just to get rejected over and over and over again. Even when you feel like you can't anymore. Even when you make it to the final round multiple times and still get told no. See, for every 1 offer I got, I made it to the final round for 3 other companies and got rejected at that last stage. Think about that. Months of waiting, 5, 6, 7 rounds of interviewing, and then all at the end, they're like, sorry, we picked someone else. And I have a pretty good interview to offer ratio, meaning most people have to go through 5 to 10 interviews with companies before getting 1 offer. And that's not even including the hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of applications they have to submit to even get an interview call. See, the problem here is that school and society does not teach us to handle this level of failure and rejection in any way, shape, or form. Think about it. You're probably a smart person if you're interested in computer science and software engineering, but if you actually consider it, in school, the expectation is that you're going to get 90% of the things right. Imagine, to get good grades in school, you have to get 90%, sometimes 95% of things correct. In the real world, you have 99% wrong and 1% right, and that 1% pays for all of the 99% you missed. If you have a 99% failure rate in the world of applications and interviews, that's actually a pretty good success rate. And most people cannot square that difference. They just can't handle the feeling of failing over and over and over again, getting rejected left and right before walking away with 1 offer to pay for all the rest. Now, the bright side about this is that if you actually make it through the software engineering hiring process, you're a lethal weapon when it comes to getting jobs. Every other industry is easy in comparison. Once you've discovered how to get dozens of referrals, write an incredible resume, hold your own in leak code and coding interviews, you look over the shoulder of someone in a different industry and you think to yourself, yeah, this is nothing. Now, how do I know that? Well, I recently had an experience where a friend of mine in a different industry actually asked me to review his resume, just like I do for most of my students. And no offense, bro, but it was one of the worst resumes I've ever seen. And this wasn't a stupid guy either. He was pretty successful in his industry, but his industry standards are so much lower than software engineering. So almost every single software engineering resume I've seen was worlds apart. In his field, which is more social media and marketing, there was just no incentive to actually get good at the hiring process. See, I see the software engineering field like those ultra harsh climates, like super hot volcanoes or frozen wastelands. See, in those environments, almost 0 organisms survive, but the ones that do are extremely ultra resilient. You can't mess with them. They can survive in any environment. These organisms are actually called extremophiles, and they're adapted to survive in almost any situation, no matter how acidic or hot or cold it is. And that's what you will become if you make it through the software engineering job acquisition process. If you can make it through this industry, you're going to be set for almost anything else you do. Now, another problem that people face when it comes to landing a software engineering offer is that they're just way too emotional and they cannot think in systems. Systems thinking is a holistic approach to solving problems where you see things as a large interconnected system rather than a series of individual events. What does that mean? Well, it means instead of looking at individual experiences and using that to make your decisions, you actually treat those individual experiences as part of a larger interconnected chain. See, most people get overly attached to each individual outcome. So they'll get 1 referral and expect that 1 referral is going to turn into a job offer. And when it doesn't, they get crushed. They become depressed. When in reality, it's about assessing the conversion rates. So what is your conversion rate between the number of referrals you get and the number of interviews that turns into? And how does that relate to a cold application? If your conversion rate is 20 or 30% from referral to interview, then no wonder if you got one referral, you didn't get the interview. Think about it like this. If you rolled a dice and you didn't get a 1 or a 2, you wouldn't be depressed and start crying, right? You would just roll the dice over and over and over again until you got an outcome you wanted. Yet people are so overly attached to individual experiences that they can't move forward. So you need to see all of these individual events as part of a larger system. So for example, if you submit 100 applications and you get 0 OAs, okay, in that case, you can safely assume there's something wrong with your application process, whether it's your resume, your LinkedIn, your referrals, the companies you're applying to that you need to fix before worrying about other parts of the process. Or if you end up getting 20 OAs and you fail all of them, now you know your lead code skills need work. See, most people don't think like that. They just close their eyes, spam apply, and expect to walk away with a job offer. And if you can't do that, you can't take a step back and emotionally separate yourself from the job acquisition process, you're not cut out to be a software engineer. Now, the second reason you shouldn't be a software engineer is that you believe you deserve success, that things should be handed to you on a silver platter. Now, when I say that, you're probably thinking to yourself,
oh, that's definitely not me. No way.
But think about it like this. Have you ever had the thought, oh, these things should not be that difficult? It's kind of unfair, right? Like, these companies shouldn't expect us to know lead code hards. They shouldn't expect us to submit thousands of applications before getting one interview. It's ridiculous that you should have to have 3 or 4 internships on your resume to get an entry-level role. Doing my degree just should be enough. The game is rigged against me. See, if you have that attitude, then you shouldn't be in this field at all. What you don't understand is that it's all about supply and demand. Because the lifestyle of software engineering is touted to be this amazing thing with free food, yoga balls in every office, nap pods everywhere, amazing high pay, remote freedom, flexibility, and the idea of getting a job being easy, we have so many people who bought into that and decided to study computer science and go for the same limited supply of jobs. We had bonus hundreds of thousands of extra people decide to enroll in computer science over the past few years that would never have thought about it because of that lifestyle. And because of COVID, because of the market crashing and interest rates going through the roof, companies also had to cut back. So while the supply of jobs was relatively limited, they had to cut those back even more while we had a massive influx of more people studying computer science and going for those jobs. So currently we have high supply and low demand relatively for those positions. So it's an employer's market. For every one computer science student they can hire, they have 5, 10, 15 other options they can make their pick from. And because of that, the standards have all gone up. So while maybe back in the day in early 2000s, you could get away with 0 or 1 internships, now you need 4, 5, 6 internships on your resume to even get that interview. Another aspect of this is that the pendulum always swings. So if you look at any industry, it'll usually swing between high demand, high supply, low supply, back and forth, back and forth. If you look at any trend, you'll be able to predict the future. And I'll give you an example. It's kind of unrelated. Think about YouTube culture. So in 2017, YouTube was a place of the daily vlog. People were making filmmaking content. You had YouTubers like Casey Neistat, who was king of the platform, Peter McKinnon. There were even examples of videos that had educational topics in the title, but were formatted like a vlog. So the person would be making a vlog and then briefly talking about that idea here and there during their day. And then the pendulum swung in the complete other direction. So in 2019, 2020, 2021, you had purely educational creators come up, like Matt D'Avola, Thomas Frank, Ali Abdaal, Captain Sinbad even. These people started to pop off in the algorithm, and then listicles became the number one thing on the platform. Videos explaining things with nicely formatted timestamps in the description, free resources online, video essays, articles. Education became number one, and then the vlog scaled back. And now we've gone right back in the other direction. So as soon as YouTube got saturated with educational creators, we are now having more authentic lifestyle people come back. So Sam Solik has gotten famous over the past 1 or 2 years because it's completely unstructured, a 30-minute to an hour-long vlog of him showing his day. It's minimally edited and people are loving it. Trust me, the pendulum always swings. Let's bring it back to computer science and software engineering. If you read books about Silicon Valley in the 1990s and 2000s, the world was a very different place. Programmers used to be as rare as a shiny Charizard Pokemon card. There were stories of people getting 5 to 10 offers in the same couple months and then negotiating their salaries to be 2 to 3 times what they were offered. It was incredible. Companies had to be ultra nice to engineers because they could walk across the street and go work for a competitor at any time. Here's a quote from this book that was published in the late 1900s about this idea called Hackers, Heroes of the Computer Revolution. The best programmers were like wizards, capable of bending machines to their will, creating what seemed like magic out of lines of code. In the Valley, these wizards were courted like rock stars. Lavish perks, stock options, and outsized salaries were the price to even get them in the door. The demand for talent was so fierce that it wasn't uncommon for a programmer to leave a job one day and start a new one down the block the next, often for double the pay. For companies, it wasn't just about hiring great talent. It was about keeping them from walking out the door to their competitors. And that was what life was like in the 1990s and the early 2000s for computer scientists and programmers. And then people saw that lifestyle, people saw that demand, and they rushed to the gates of this industry. And look what happened. The pendulum swung, we have high supply, low demand, and it's completely inverted nowadays. So is this a reason to not be a software engineer? Yes, only if you perceive it as unfair and out of control. If you hear me saying this and you think to yourself, it's doomed, I should quit, it's unfair, I'm not cut out for this, then you should. If you think to yourself, these companies, they have such a high bar, it's doomed, then you are doomed and you shouldn't even be here in the first place. But if instead you hear, oh, I get that it's tough, but all that means is that I need to work hard to beat the competition. It's almost like you're getting excited at this point. The idea of competition excites you, strapping on those gloves to fight the competition. Those are the people who are cut out for this field. See, who are you to expect things to be easy? You're going for a top 1% lifestyle. I mean, these are 6-figure job offers in your early 20s. That is ahead of 99% of people our age. And you expect it to be easy, to be handed to you in a silver platter? If you want something easy, go do some underserved field, like become a teacher or become a medical assistant or a nurse. I mean, I'm not saying the jobs themselves are easy, but getting a job in those fields is way easier than becoming a software engineer because the lifestyle is harder and there's more demand and less supply. Go work at a nursing home because we have an entire population of boomers that don't have enough young people to take care of them. If you want to get a job as soon as possible, it should be easy. You don't get to decide what should be easy or not. You analyze the market and you make decisions based on that. Whether you feel like it should be easy is completely besides the point. If you can't handle that harsh reality, then you probably shouldn't be a software engineer. And on that point, when people say the market's bad, the market isn't bad, the market isn't good, the market is what it is, and you decide whether it's bad or good for you. I've talked about this before, but just completely eliminate the phrase the market is bad from your vocabulary. It's not serving you in any way, shape, or form. Now, the third reason why you shouldn't be a software engineer is that you don't like to solve challenging problems independently. You want to be told what to do. See, what you don't realize is that much of software engineering is working completely independently and you have no clue what's going on, compared to a lot of other industries where there's a strict curriculum, you're told what to do, and you just follow the rules step by step by step. So many other fields, including the education system, it's about following the protocol. They just need bodies and hands to just follow the series of steps and then you're good to go. And even with school does not teach you how to thrive in an unstructured environment. In school, there's a piece of homework. Every single problem has a one right answer. There's no open-ended situations. You can't just logic the teacher into realizing that the homework is useless. You have to do it. One answer, one way to do it. In software engineering, sure, there are larger problems, but there are so many correct answers there. One path in software engineering, for example, is that you could prove that the problem is not even a problem, and that's a successful answer. Think about that, right? Imagine the teacher gives you homework, and you just prove to the teacher, oh, this homework is irrelevant anyway. What do you think they're gonna say? Shut up and do the homework. But software engineering is unlike that at all. I've had multiple experiences where I've been presented with a problem in software engineering, and then I showed them, hey, this is not actually bad, this is fine, and then it's good. That's a successful outcome. And even if a problem is a problem, like you actually have to solve it, there's a plethora of solutions. Often you have dozens of ways to do the same thing, and you have to consider the trade-offs of every single one, and it is not obvious what to go with. A lot of people cannot handle how unstructured that is, and they simply cannot work on their own. There are times in software engineering when you work on problems for several days, and then someone else realizes what you're working on is completely and utterly irrelevant, and you're forced to just abandon that PR, just to backspace the code, delete the file, and move on. Your work is completely nullified. But that's normal, because even though your work was completely useless at the end of the day, you're still pushing the field forward. And a lot of people are not cut out for this. How I deeply struggled with this too early on in my career. People can't face the fact that there's no right answer. They just want to be told what to do. They want to finish their work for the day. Even that is a fundamental misunderstanding of what this field is. I would make this mistake so often. People would see working as an engineer as a stack of papers. You get through the papers, you sign them off, you check it off, you're good for the day. It is not like that at all. In reality, when you're a software engineer, you have a series of high-level challenges or problems, and you as an engineer are trying to address those problems by building solutions for them, and if you're in software, you're building software solutions to those high-level problems. None of that really happens linearly. There are times where you work on something for days at a time and make no progress, and then suddenly on the 5th day, you have some crazy insight that just pushes everything forward all in that one day. The problem there is that it feels like you're doing nothing on day 2 and 3, but in reality, you're still working on those days. It's only on day 4 that you finally figure it out. Instead of working through a stack of papers, software engineer is more like kicking down a door. You kick and kick and kick, and suddenly the door breaks open, and then you walk a few steps and you find another door to break down. And sure, if you take a step back, you look at it from an aerial view and you analyze your progress over months and months and months, you see yourself systematically kicking down doors, but on any given day, you could kick that door hundreds of times and nothing changes. If you can't see the larger picture and realize that you are still working towards a solution, even if you don't figure it out on that individual day, day, then you're not going to be cut out for the psychological stress of being an engineer. Now, going back to the working independently problem, as humans, we want someone just to give us what to do, to give us a clear path. A, B, C, if you check off these boxes, you're good to go. We have this expectation that, hey, if our manager wants something, they're gonna tell us, right? That's what teachers were like. Projects in school would come with a rubric, which is exactly what the criteria for success is in every single category. Think about that. School literally gives you a rubric, which tells you what to do on the project. But in the real world, you need to expect to be told nothing at all. You'll be figuring out everything by yourself. See, these companies want to hire people who can be told nothing and still produce effective solutions. Another example of this dichotomy is the lie of there are no stupid questions. This is something you hear in school all the time. Even in college, people will tell you, hey, ask any questions. There are no stupid questions. Always ask for help when you need it. For example, in Harry Potter and Hogwarts, right? Dumbledore is always like, oh, help at Hogwarts will be given to those who ask for it. And that makes sense because Hogwarts is a school. It's not a company. And when you work for a company, there really are stupid questions. I know multiple people who didn't get return offers on their internships because they asked too many stupid questions. People don't realize this. School and work are completely inverted. In fact, schools don't want you to know this. If you're unhappy with your school, you can just fire them and pick a different school that's a better environment for you. Whereas in the workplace, they pay your salary, so you need to sell yourself to them. All I'm saying here is that just recognize that the rules are different when it comes to school and the workplace. When you work as a software engineer, there are stupid questions, and they want people who can work completely independently without any help whatsoever. Now, if you want to take on the software engineering job acquisition process head on, I actually wrote a school for aspiring software engineers. This is where you'll work directly with me to navigate the extremely difficult software engineering job acquisition process. So go ahead and check out the top link in the description if you're set on landing a software engineering job 100% guaranteed. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.